Welcome to the Female Orphan School. My name's Leanne Smith and I'm the Director of the Whitlam Institute. We're so thrilled to have you all with us tonight for this amazing exhibition. I'd like to start off by making a particular welcome to our elders on campus who've joined us this evening. Tonight we have with us Auntie Zona, Auntie Norma Shelley, Auntie Pearl Waimara, and Uncle Charlie Mundine. We're really glad to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. Before we do anything else, I'd like to invite Auntie Zona to welcome us. But before I do that, would you please let me tell you a little bit about her? She's the perfect person to welcome us this evening, actually. So Auntie Zona is a Kamilaroi elder and a Kamilaroi artist from northwestern New South Wales, whose art has featured in collections at the Powerhouse Museum and also at the Blacktown Arts Centre. She's worked in the industry as an artist, as an art teacher, and as a curator. Auntie Zona is a highly respected cultural educator and a visual artist who works in textile, ceramic, mosaic, sculpture, painting, mural, and printmaking, which we'll see a lot of this evening. She's also a founding member of the Blacktown Arts Centre. So please come and join us, Auntie Zona. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zona Wilkinson. As I was just introduced as a Kamilaroi and Wanneroo woman, joining both cultures on my side is very rewarding. Comes from a very, very big family as well. But why I'm here tonight is I'd like to acknowledge the custodians of the Barramatical, a clan of the Darug people, and their long continued relationship with country. The tribe clans of this area. Barramatical cultural boundaries are the Parramatta Ryde area, the Parramatta River to Turramurra, Lane Cove to the east. Parramatical territory is located from the head of the river to the west of the cultural boundaries. I say cultural boundaries because a lot of people think of it as LGA boundaries. We have our cultural boundaries which overlap LGA. I acknowledge and pay respect to the elders, both past and present, and to Mother Earth, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people on this land. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Auntie Zona. Gough Whitlam was a champion of human rights and of social justice. His first experience of Aboriginal Australia was in Gove, where he was posted during the Second World War with the RAF. In the Institute's travelling exhibition called The Way of the Reformer, which explores Gough's life and influences before he entered into politics, it's very clear that his experience there with local communities in Gove changed his life and opened his eyes. Today, in fact, we recall that on this day, 44 years ago, Gough Whitlam handed documents to Vincent Lignari and poured earth into his hands with these words: "I solemnly hand to you these deeds as proof, in Australian law, that these lands belong to the Gurindji people, and I put into your hands this piece of the earth itself, as a sign that we restore them to you and your children forever." Vincent replied, "We are all mates now." We also recall that in 2009, Gough said of this moment, "I have no happier memory." Gough Whitlam's government initiated many legislative and policy reforms designed to empower, recognise and improve the lives of Australia's First Peoples. Tonight, perhaps it's important for us to focus particularly on his support for the arts, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander arts in particular. And we recall in hosting this exhibition, which follows on the heels of another exhibition, Whitlam, the Arts and Democracy, that this is a very crucial part of that effort of his. The Whitlam government's arts policies aim to elevate appreciation as well as respect for First Nations cultures and to position them at the heart of Australian identity. The measures it implemented were amongst the first to enact the principle of self-determination in government decision-making. As Kim Williams has noted in an upcoming publication on Whitlam, the Arts and Democracy, he said, in an absolute first in Australian policy delivery, every single member of the new Aboriginal Arts Board was Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. Imagine that. This bold, confident process, he said, telegrammed to the arts community that the game had changed. There was a new spirit in play. Artists would determine what happened. The Institute is proud of its connection to this exhibition. And if you have time tonight, please do go over to our reading room across on the other wing on the second floor, where you can see a photograph from our archive, from the Prime Ministerial Collection, of Gough at the opening of the Arts Centre at Yirrkala on the 4th of February 1998. Not only the Institute, but this university is also proud of its connection to the Arts Centre. And I know that Jan Reid will say more about the university's early and ongoing relationship with the centre and with some of its artists. So with that, let me introduce to you now some of the very important people who have made this exhibition possible and brought it to you. Let me introduce to you Dr. Denise Silvestro. Denise is the chair of Artback Northern Territory. She has a PhD from the Australian National University on the history of printmaking by the Yungu artists and the development of the print space at Yirrkala. As part of her research, Denise studied the Yungu language and culture studies at Charles Darwin University in Darwin. Previous to researching her thesis, Denise and her partner were based in Nhulunbuy for 12 years, where they worked as dentists providing services to the surrounding remote communities in northeast Arnhem Land. She has a Master's in Arts Administration, a Diploma in History of Art from the University of London. She maintains a connection with dentistry, working still as a professional officer for the Dental Council of New South Wales, and she has her own arts consultancy businesses. Please, Denise, welcome.
Thank you very much, Leanne, and I'd like to thank Auntie Zoma for your very warm welcome to country, and I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we're meeting on this evening. And I'd also like to also acknowledge the Yolngu elders, without whom this exhibition wouldn't be possible, because of course they've passed on all their knowledge to the younger generations. I'd like to thank Leanne again and Sandra Stevenson very much for bringing the exhibition to Sydney. We're very excited about having it here, and I'd like to thank Sandra and her team for the beautiful hang of the exhibition. It looks absolutely amazing up there, as you will see soon. Artback NT is very proud to be touring this really important exhibition. It's not just important art historically, it's also very important, as you will all see when you go up and read the information that goes with the artwork, it's very important socially and politically. A lot of the artists are making some really important statements up there, and it's achieved a lot socially as well. And I think it's very fitting that it's here at the Whitlam Institute. Leanne alluded to the fact that, in fact, it was due to the Whitlam government during the Whitlam era that the concept of art centres program came into being. And if it wasn't for the Whitlam government instituting a program that subsidised community art centres to assist them in producing their art and distributing their art, not only would this exhibition be here, the art centre had to be there for the print space to be there for the art to be produced. So we're very grateful to the Whitlam for the Art Centre program. Plus, as Leanne said, Whitlam had a strong connection with the Gove area and the Yolngu people from having spent his time up there during the war. And there is a beautiful photo which I strongly recommend you go and have a look at. I'd like to thank our visual arts managers, Nerida Stockley and Joe Foster, who, along with our art coordinators at Yirrkala, at Bukalanga and Walker Art Centre, put together the 95 prints. They had to select from quite a collection of limited edition prints to form the exhibition, which is a record of 25 years of continuous printmaking at the Art Centre. And Yirrkala is quite unique as a remote art centre to have an on-site facility that has continually produced limited edition prints by local artists on site. So the artists are often the printmakers, and they are learning on site from visiting printmakers who come to teach. Some of them have gone to study elsewhere, but all the printmaking is done on site, and it's unique in that respect. So I'm sure you'll appreciate when you see it how amazingly talented these artists are. I'd also strongly recommend, especially for any teachers in the audience, Jo Foster has put together an amazing education kit which is available on the Outback NT site. It's incredibly informative, not just for teachers but for anybody who's interested in finding out a little bit not only of the history of the Yolngu but of the art of the Yolngu. And there's also a wonderful phone app which I'd recommend you all download on your phone, which helps you as you go around. You get a description of the artwork, you get information about the artist, you also get a history of the art and the region. So I'd strongly recommend you look Balnhdhurr phone app to use while you're going through the art centre. And also, a lot of people ask when they go into the art centre, a lot of the prints that you will see come from when the art centre was instigated in 1995. You'll see some of the very early prints which obviously are no longer available, but some of the prints, the later ones, are available. If you'd like to go onto the art site under the yirrkala.com website, you'll see not only some of the ones that you're looking at, but also more recent works that are available. And my partner Neil and I have just come back from the Garma Festival, where each year they stage an outdoor exhibition of the latest prints produced, and they get better every year. It just never ceases to amaze me how technically innovative they are and the beautiful works that they do produce. So I strongly recommend you have a look at the Colour website, or call the Art Centre if you're interested in any particular work. We're also very proud Outback NT because we also fulfil another vision of Outback NT, and that's to assist remote artists to travel with exhibitions. They run workshops and they give gallery talks. And we're very fortunate tonight to have Ruby Dicker Alderton here with us. She will be, along with two of the co-artists who will be coming down during the time that the exhibition is on. Ruby and the girls will be giving gallery talks and running workshops, so I strongly recommend you keep an eye out from them on the Whitlam Institute website. Ruby comes from, she's an amazing young artist who belongs to the Marika dynasty of artists. Her grandfather Molan was one of the very early artists producing artwork for the anthropologists and the universities and other institutions way back in the 50s and 60s. And her uncle Wanja, who was, I think, the second chair of the Aboriginal Arts Board, who was also an amazing artist. And her mother, Dr. Bandak Marika, who is an internationally recognised artist, print artist, and you'll see her works along with Ruby's up in the exhibition. So I'd like you to join me in welcoming Ruby.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Ruby Dicker Alderton. I'm a Yolngu woman from Yirrkala, Northeast Arnhem Land. I started volunteering as a printmaker during high school, and after completing Year 12, continued working at the Yirrkala print space for further 3 years. I'm very excited to be here tonight and to help open this amazing retrospective exhibition of 20 plus years of printmaking at Yirrkala. To give a brief overview of where exactly these prints originate from, if we were travelling by land, starting in Darwin, there you would get in a 4-wheel drive and drive for 14 hours east, 10 on a dirt road until you reach the end. There, right at the tip of the Gulf of Carpentaria, is Yirrkala, which is a small community of Yolngu people, red dirt, stringy bark forests and endless miles of pristine coastline. It is almost entirely untouched and utterly beautiful in its remoteness. And so, as you consider the location and surroundings, you might wonder why someone thought it was a good idea to put a printmaking studio in the middle of nowhere. To answer that question, Balnhdhurr is the oldest art centre in the top end, with a continuous connection with retail centres and galleries across Australia and internationally. During this time, the centre and its various skilled coordinators have supported all of the North East Arnhem clans, helping to develop the skills of many artists who are now widely known, exhibited and collected throughout Australia. So 20 plus years ago, it was decided by the various clan leaders that a print studio would allow artists to produce limited edition prints at home. And build it they did, shipping a massively heavy press by boat to Yirrkala and installing it in the art centre, and then never looked back. So for the past 20 years, this small, unassuming studio in the middle of nowhere has been making beautiful prints. The skill and understanding of printmaking and knowledge has been passed down from generation to generation, simply by always employing local staff, community members, young people, empowering them, connecting them, teaching them and promoting them. So when you look through the exhibition tonight with the understanding of the remote location and consider the energy and effort required in order to maintain 20 years of continuous printmaking on country, then you hopefully can begin to fully comprehend what an incredible accomplishment the past 20 years has been. For the printmakers, the artists, and to all the others involved, the sheer belief, hard work and determination has been unwavering. Within the frames are more than just stunning prints. They are the stories of Whitlam, our law, our country, our people, and then there is more. There is the story of the print space itself, of the community that has been created with and around the space, the collaborations that happened in there, the gathering of people, the knowledge passing, the next generations, the empowerment and the strength. It is a privilege to have an opportunity to share these stories here with you all, so far from their humble origins. On behalf of Balnhdhurr and all the crew back in Yirrkala, I'd like to thank all the people who have helped make tonight possible, with a special thanks to Artback NT for their commitment to this national touring show. And finally, thank you to everyone for coming tonight. Hope you enjoy the exhibition.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Ruby. Now I'd like to introduce you to Emeritus Professor Janice Reid, who has been a dear friend of the Whitlam Institute in this building for some time. Professor Janice Reid was Vice Chancellor of the University of Western Sydney from 1998 to 2013. Jan championed the restoration of this beautiful building and the establishment of the Whitlam Institute. She served in leadership, governance and policy roles in education, in healthcare, cultural and industry organisations in Australia as well as overseas. Her own research focused on cross-cultural health and health services, particularly for Aboriginal and refugee communities. In 1984, she received the Welcome Medal of the Royal Anthropological Institute of Great Britain and Ireland. In January 1998, she was made a member of the Order of Australia, and in 2003 received an Australian Centenary Medal. In 2015, she was made a Companion of the Order of Australia, and she has received honorary doctorates from Western Sydney University as well as from the University of Sydney. Welcome, Jan.
Auntie Zona, and may I also pay my respects to the owners and custodians of this land, past and present. And it's wonderful to see some of my friends here tonight, particularly the elders who've been such a stalwart support of this institution for so long. I thought what I'd do, just to finish off before we go and see this wonderful exhibition, is give you a bit of a broader perspective on Yirrkala. Ruby's spoken so beautifully of the Prince Basin, the Bukulang and Muka. I just wanted to say that when I arrived there in the 70s, Yirrkala was quite isolated, the odd plane came in, but it had been one of the most politically powerful and important communities in the history of Indigenous Australia. At the time, it had problems with the government, with the laws relating to land and ownership. The Methodist mission was there and was on the side of the people of the community trying to fight for their rights. It was quite a volatile time. The people of that community had been standing up to government particularly for years and years. What happened in the 1950s was that they discovered that the place was just a layer of bauxite, and you make aluminium out of bauxite. And from the 50s onwards, there was every attempt to try and establish a mine there, and that greatly alarmed the people, particularly the elders. And I have to get my sequence right here, but they took this to the court, and I'll get back to that in a moment. But in the years since, Yirrkala, whether you know it as such, has become a hub of artistic activity. Galwinku and Millingimbi as well, which are also rural communities. So think of Yultu Yindi, which of course is famed throughout the world. Think of the great singer from Elgo Island, from Galwinku, who died relatively recently, who also took the world by storm. Think of the artists whose work is traded around the world in the big capitals, Paris, London, New York, all over the world. Their work is being traded and is in the great museums, the British Museum, the Metropolitan Museum. I happened to be in Paris and they were having little sales of just ethnic art, I think it was. And I walked around the corner into a gallery and I thought, oh my goodness, that's someone I know, Milbini Nadabalanji's painting was right there being sold in front of me in Paris. And of course, Galleroy's sister, who's also passed away, painted one of the great murals in the Musée Quai Branly, du Quai Branly, in Paris. So you go in and you just look at these wonderful murals by Indigenous artists. It's just extraordinary. If you go up high enough, you can look down on the roof and see another one of these murals. Sorry, I'm getting carried away. Closer to home, we've been collecting, UWS and now WSU has been collecting Indigenous works for a long, long time, since the 1980s. There are now 101 prints in the collection. Quite a few of them are from the print space. And there are about 250 works overall. So there are barks, there are acrylic paintings, there are artefacts. So this has been a special focus of this university for a very long time. So let me just say a little bit about history. I'm not going to talk about the real history of this region because it's not for me to talk about it, and some of it is in the mists of tens of thousands of years, maybe 60,000 years, we don't know. But we often think of areas of Australia that are fairly remote as being somehow discovered, and the colonisers went up there and discovered the area. In fact, what had happened, it was quite a cosmopolitan area. Since about the 1600s, sailors from what was then Makassar, which is the Sulawesi, were coming down in large numbers and collecting bêche de mer, which is sea slug, and drying it and taking it home. And they had, from all accounts, a very good trading relationship with their Yuln colleagues. I think there were real real friendships formed, and some Yulngu went back to the Sulawesi in the 1600s and 1700s on the boats. So that was a very special era, and of course when you say Balnhdhurr for European or rupiah for money, that's Indonesian, that's trade Malay. Those words were picked up there, and I'm sure they picked up Yulngu words as well. When Captain Cook landed in Botany Bay, it was already a very busy international area up there. I mean, he wouldn't have known. And in 1803, when Flinders sailed through there on circumnavigating Australia, he saw 60 boats who were there trepanning. And so he talked to the captain of the whole fleet, and he said, oh yes, we come down every season and we go back on the favourable winds. So it was a very busy place. But then, I'm going to try and skip over a little bit of this, but then this shock of the potential mine hit, and in 1963, I think, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, the elders of the community, so this is your grandfather, the elders of the community sent the bark petition to Canberra, a beautifully worded petition in English and Gumatch. And it's on permanent exhibition in Parliament House. If you ever go to Parliament House, go and see it. It's quite accessible. I think it's in the public area, or you can ask to go and see it. And basically saying this is our land, and this is why it's our land. And we can sing the stories of this land and explain to you the complexities of the ownership. And nothing. There was no response. But it was an important forebear, if you like, to then the land rights case. I think that was about 68. It was 71, the land rights case 71. So that land rights case is studied by law students and academics all over the world. It was called Whitlam and others, it's a relative of Jikaras, Whitlam and others versus Nabalco and the Commonwealth of Australia. So it was no small battle. Just briefly, the judge spoke warmly and enthusiastically about the ownership, about what he'd heard, but he said, sorry, under British law, Australian British law, I can't, you don't own this, I can't grant ownership. That then set the scene for the entry of Mr. Whitlam as Prime Minister. And under his jurisdiction, under his period, the Land Rights Act was developed. So the Northern Territory Land Rights Act, 1976, it was actually developed by the Whitlam government, it was passed by the Fraser government, which was good. I remember it well. So that was passed, and then the land belonged in English law, British law, to the people of that region, and right across Arnhem Land was the same thing. So, and one of the translators at that case was Galaroy Udapingut, when he was a young man, when we were all young. Let me just pop on a bit. I just wanted to follow up something Leanne said. It's true that Mr. Whitlam was with the Air Force in Go, or Nhulunbuy, and did get to know quite a few of the Yolngu people. What people don't know, and I didn't know until I read about it in Jenny Copping's book, is that we all know about the 1967 referendum. That's part of the history that we all know. But nobody seems to know about the 1944 referendum. And it was called the 14 Powers Referendum. And it was entitled Post-War Reconstruction and Democratic Rights. And it would have given the Commonwealth the right to legislate for Indigenous peoples. Gough, it was later quoted as saying that he campaigned heavily with his fellow servicemen for the passage of this particular referendum, but it failed. It was another 23 years until the 1967 referendum. And when he gave the second Vincent Lingiari lecture, he said, my political career started on Aboriginal land. So it's very important, it's a very significant thing. So in 2010, when I went up to Gama, Mr. Whitlam wanted to send a message of friendship to his friends and colleagues who were now a lot older as he was a little older at that stage as well, who lived in that area. So we took up a parchment which he signed and which he asked to say, "I'm very pleased to send my salutations and greetings to the 2010 Garma Festival. I urge each of you to be bold in exploring how all children can grow up proud and secure in their Aboriginal identity and therefore able to make choices in life that a good education brings. With all good wishes to my Yolngu friends, Gough Whitlam." So we framed it in, well, what we were told was tropical seal, it wouldn't decay, it was all properly sealed. And I handed it to Galleroy's sister, who, you'll know who Galleroy's sister was. She was the great woman artist for many, many years, and she was also a traditional healer. So that was wonderful. So, with gratitude to everybody who's involved in this exhibition, either as an artist, a contributor, to Jikara, thank you so much, to Auntie Zona, to Monica McMahon, who isn't here, who laboured hanging the exhibition, to everybody who's been involved. I say thank you, and I'm very happy to declare the exhibition open.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you to our other speakers this evening as well. It just leaves me to say a few more thank yous now before we go. First of all, thank you to our elders for being with us tonight. We really hope you have time to enjoy the exhibition this evening as well, or at any other time. My thanks to Artback NT, and particularly to Denise for all of her efforts in extending the tour of this exhibition to us here. My thanks too to Monica McMahon, who shared with us a lot of the history of the university's engagement with the print space. And to the staff and volunteers of the Whitlam Institute for all of their work, as usual, in making this such a lovely event. But my particular thanks to Sandra Stevenson, without whom this exhibition would never have made it to us. So thank you, Sandra. This is, unfortunately, the last stop for this tour, the tour of this exhibition. It's really quite amazing that it hasn't been anywhere else in Sydney, in my personal view. So I'd ask you to bring in as many people as you can to see the work and encourage others to think about maybe encouraging Artback NT to extend the tour a bit further. The Whitlam Institute and all of us here are really committed to honouring and trying to learn more from the traditions and the cultures of Australia's First Nations people. We hope that bringing this exhibition to Sydney and to the Female Orphans School will be part of our learning and will enable all of you and others to learn more about this incredible work as well. So go upstairs, please enjoy it all. It's so vibrant and wonderful to see. We'll have more refreshments in the middle of the building, and you're welcome to stay until we close up around 8 o'clock tonight. So thank you for coming and enjoy.